Welcome back to the Welsh Wire. We are so glad that you joined us today. We are doing our show today, co-produced with our friends at the Family Business Alliance in Grand Rapids. And we have a very special guest with us today. Joining us on the show today is Dave Russell. Dave is the president of Hastings Fiberglass in none other than Hastings, Michigan. Dave, welcome to the Welsh Wire.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
What we want to talk about today with Dave is kind of a inside baseball look at what it's like to be an outsider, if you will, a non-family member running a family business. The Family Business Alliance in Grand Rapids is all made up of family-owned businesses, and many of them have leaders who are not family members running their operation. And this conversation will provide some really unique insights into how that works, some of the challenges and the opportunities, and as you'll see from talking with Dave, some of the great fun that outside family members have leading family businesses. So Dave, let's get started. Dave, share for our listeners, just so they can get a little bit of a sense of who you are, share a little bit about your background. Tell us how you came to Hastings and your progression there.
I came to Hastings. First, I'd like to say Sherry is right. Being an outsider in a family business is so much fun. I'm so fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. But I came to Hastings. I went to Michigan State University out of high school, and I was very fortunate. My first summer, Larry Baum, the owner of Hastings Fiberglass at the time, called me and asked me if I'd be interested in working here in the shop. They were extremely busy and they needed summer help. So obviously I took him up on that, and it was the best move of my life. I learned so much about how the shop worked. I didn't realize at the time the position I was going to be in, obviously, in the future. But just knowing all the things that happen on the shop floor and I actually did it the second summer too. So I did it for 2 summers. And I just learned so much about how the company works and how the shop floor works and how the quality needs to be there. And the people, a lot of the people that believe it or not, that I worked with then are still working on the floor. So not very many of them, but there's a few of them. And
isn't that something?
It is. I think one of my favorite stories on that, I was here for a week and I made a mistake with 10 of the parts. I drilled holes in the wrong spot. And the lady that I was working with just retired. And her quote to me was, "If you keep doing stuff like that, you won't be here much longer." So I reminded her of that conversation. So
I'm curious, did she remember it too?
Oh, yes.
That's so funny.
She did, yep. And she just retired 3 months ago.
Oh, isn't that delightful? Yeah. Wow. Well, I got to say, I'm really glad you took her advice to heart, Dave, because obviously you didn't make that mistake twice, and here you are. So this is literally like you started on the shop floor and migrated to the corner office. Holy cow. Like, that is an amazing story that very few people can probably tell. So share a little bit about how that, what led to that. How did you get from shop floor, a couple different summers, a college student, now you're leading the company?
So I actually didn't work for the company for 10 years after that. I worked in the athletic department at Michigan State. I was assistant ticket manager after I got my degree.
Okay.
Which had nothing to do with my degree. My degree is electrical engineering. Thank God I never used it. And then I got recruited away from Michigan State to work for Penske Corporation to do the ticketing at MIS, Michigan International Speedway.
Interesting.
So kind of a different background. I was working at MIS, and I got the call from Larry asking if I'd like to come and work at Hastings. And I knew what a strong background Hastings had, and their roots were very deep in the community and how stable they were. So naturally I ended up coming here. It wasn't much of a decision for me. The biggest concern for me coming here was my lack of background in manufacturing.
Okay, because you had no manufacturing experience other than the little bit that you had working in the organization back in the college years, right?
Correct. And so I came here and they just started teaching me. I think they had a plan for me at the time, but they never told me. And so I just, you just worked, learned the culture of what we had here and we still have here. And you just kept working and learning things. And I can remember I was here 7 years before I was really understood the domino effect through the company if I made a decision here, how it was going to work later down.
Yes.
So it really took that long to really understand. And I tell people that are coming into the organization now, you just have to be patient and learn how we do things. So actually, so I was here for 10 and a half years and I left for a family business and I was gone for 4.5 years. And that was extremely educational to me to see more how family businesses work. Fortunately for me, the person that took my spot didn't do well. And so I got a call from Dave Baum 4.5 years later asking me if I'd be interested in coming back. And, we thought about it for a little bit and naturally I came back. I've been back for 14 years. But when I came back, I came in as operations manager. I didn't come back as president. I still had to, kind of learn some things, how things were going differently than I was here before.
Right.
But after 4 years, so I've been president for 10 years now. But lucky, greatest job in the world. Like I said, I'm extremely fortunate and lucky that the person that took my spot didn't stay. I should send him Christmas cards. So
Really, I mean, that created an opportunity for you to come back, but let's just talk about Larry for a minute. I mean, he allowed you to leave, not like he had much choice, but I mean, he allowed you to leave and invited you back. It sounds like not once, but twice, Dave.
correct.
So I mean, what kind of relationship did you have with the senior member of the family running the business at that time that he had that much trust in you? Like, that's pretty incredible.
Not only did he let me go, he gave me advice on what I should do. He gave me a lot of advice on going to another company and make sure he was actually watching out for me and the things that he wanted me to make sure was in writing. So yeah, he very fortunate to have a mentor like Larry. We
Yeah,
still,
so you would consider him to be a mentor to you.
oh, immensely, yes, yes,
Yeah. Oh, that's
without a
awesome.
doubt, without a doubt.
That is awesome.
Mhm.
So together, it sounds like you set the company up, you and Larry set the company up to really have a great leadership team. Tell us a little bit about your leadership team. Are there family members on it today? What's the reporting structure like? And what kind of autonomy do you have, as you build your own team?
Well, the
Um,
one thing it wasn't just Larry as a mentor. Dave Baum was actually a huge mentor to me. That's Larry's son.
okay.
He was a massive part about building the leadership team. He's had a lot. He knew that as much as we were growing, that he needed a staff that could really support him and his ideas going forward. So Larry started to step back from the company more, and Dave started stepping up more. And the building that we're in now is because of Dave Baum. He had this vision of building a new company or a new building, not a new company, and being able to recruit employees that wanted to come to Hastings because it was such a nice building. And he had that vision. He planted that seed with the board, and he wanted a wow factor when people walked into our factory, like, you guys make fiberglass here and it's clean. So that was a really step forward in with the company was what was
I love that.
his vision.
I
So
love that. So Dave led the company for a time and then you came in and replaced Dave.
yeah, and Dave was actually president. I think I don't know exactly, 15 to 20 years. Dave was president, and then Larry was chairman of the board, and Dave became CEO when I became president. So
So you were the first family member, non-family member, to run the operation there at Hastings.
correct, correct.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So tell me about other family members that are involved in the business at this time. Where do they slot into your leadership team? How does that work for you?
Right now we have fourth generation Brian Baum. Incredible to have him here. He's been here 5 years now. He came in as CFO. He has an accounting background, but he has a lot
Nice.
of vision for the company and where we can go. And so him and I work together a lot on decision making. He's been promoted to vice president in the last year. Someday he'll have my job or surpass me, one of the two, I hope. But it's really a joy to work with him because neither one of us are worried about stepping on each other's toes. We just do what's best for the company. And I feel we're very fortunate because I told him the other day, I said, most people in my position would be threatened by you. But I'm excited to be able to work with somebody that we have the same vision, and he has a lot of new ideas. So I tell him I'm the old, he's the new, and we're meshing together. So
I love that. And having seen the two of you work together, I can attest to the fact that you work together very, very well, hand in glove.
yeah.
It's really delightful. So I'm just going to guess that you're preparing him for your desk, your office
Oh,
someday when you
100%.
exit the company. Yeah.
100%. Yes, he will be
So
running
the
the company
mentor that
someday.
Dave was to you, you have now become to fourth gen
Mhm.
Brian. Yeah.
Yes.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So talk a little bit, Dave, about how you stay aligned with the family's priorities. Um, you're not family, yet you've been embedded with the family for a long time, a number of years, personally and professionally. So you understand it, but there's a culture there. So how do you stay aligned with that culture? How do you keep the organization aligned with that, with the family's priorities?
You look at the culture and you don't try to change the culture. You try to fine tune the culture for what is best for the company. You don't want to stay in the past with everything. You need to look at the future with what you're doing and the current. And if you just come in and want to change the culture, now you're going to lose all your family because we truly do look at everybody in this building as part of family. We have 120 employees and we treat them like family. And we really have a philosophy that if you have loyalty to your employees, they're going to have loyalty back. The old adage, people don't care what you think until you think that you care. That's really what we have here.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
and the biggest thing that I can say that you can do is be humble and patient. Things aren't going to come to you as a non-family member as fast as a family member or as fast as you think they should. And be humble. They come, but you just have to work with the family member to see what they want and what they expect, because they truly are your boss
Yes.
when it really comes down to it. But
Yes.
you can also treat them as a friend, and
Yeah.
you have to separate friends and business sometimes. But ultimately, if you look at them as a friend, even though you have to make those tough decisions sometimes for the business, everything will work out great.
Yes. Yes. It always does. It always does when you lead from the right place,
Mhm.
right? And
It
I
does.
can yeah, I can see how well you are aligned with their culture there. You mentioned even when you have to make the tough calls, there are times, right?
Yes.
There are times
Mhm.
when it gets challenging. You told me a story about a challenging time
Mhm.
that you faced as a leader of a family business trying to work with some family issues. It's a great story with a super happy ending. Can you share that story for our listeners, Dave? I think there's so much to learn from that.
I can. I got a call from, this has been 12 years ago now. And I got a call from, maybe not 12, approximately 10 years ago. I got a call from one of the family members that said, on a Sunday, he wanted to meet with me and said, and when I met with him, he said, I cleaned my desk out today. I'm done at Hastings. And so I sat down with him and talked why and what happened. And he said, I'm done. So on Monday, I went to work and he had had an argument with another family member. And that family member was sitting in my office waiting for me when I got there Monday to tell me his side of the story.
Yikes.
So, um, and at that point, this is where it really comes. It was a big advantage for me to work for a family business on the other side of the or with the family.
Yes.
Um, at that point, I realized that my job became, how do we sit down at Thanksgiving dinner? How do we have the family
Mm,
still be able to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner?
Yes.
And, when I told the family member that, I think he really got it, that this is, my family is more important than this business. We can still keep this business going and get back together with the other family member. And that's really where it comes into an advantage for having a non-family member work here or run the company. I was able to keep running the company and they could resolve all their differences. And so that was really big. They could kind of forget about the company a little bit and just work on it. And they ended up going to some counseling and working it out. 6 weeks later, everything was back. And today, you'd never know there was an issue. In fact,
Isn't that amazing?
within 6 months, you would never know there was an issue between them. So sometimes you just have to get away from the company as a family member and realize that there's more than the company. And that's one thing I would like to say is non-family members, they do not realize how hard a business is on a family-owned business. It is very hard. Once again, you have to make those hard decisions. And sometimes all the family members don't agree with those. So it's hard on families. And the biggest thing, like I said, that you can do is find a way to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner and still run a great company that we have.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, I just want to give some props to you for the way you handled that situation. You make it sound really easy. How you did what you did. Dave was like, well, we just, and then, and everything was great.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. I know of two family-owned businesses in Michigan that did not have the same outcome when they had a family dispute, and today don't sit down to Thanksgiving dinner together, which is heartbreaking. And clearly, you recognize that scenario was heartbreaking too, and you were not going to allow that to happen. So you worked hard at trying to provide whatever these family members needed in order to get through that conflict and keep things all together. And what I love the most about this story is that today you would never know, like an outsider would never know that anything like that had ever happened. That is incredible. So props to you for doing it. Not an easy task,
No.
but wow, did you lead that with skill and grace?
But I will say the family members have to have a will to want to work it out also.
You
They have
bet.
that will, and these two family members are great people and they had that will, so.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So talk a little bit about new initiatives. When you have new ideas, new priorities, new business thoughts, innovation, how do you get the support from the family in that and the support for priorities that you think are important for the business, especially with people that might not be as close to the business as say Brian?
Number one, truth and facts. Like I said, we have a great Dave Baum, sees what we're doing, knows where we want to go, and he supports just about everything that we want to do. Now you have to present him, like I said, truth and facts. Don't put an angle on anything. Just say this is what it is. This is what it'll get us. And this is what we need to do. One example on that, we're growing a little bit more than we expected right now. So we need to put a little addition on the building. And literally 30 minutes ago, I went down and told him what we were doing, what the quote was, and he just got a big smile on his face. That's the right thing to do. So that's really what it is. If you come forward with truth and facts and maybe a little bit of humble, a lot of good things can happen.
Yeah, that's terrific. And I'm sure you get to that point from the years of trust that you built as a foundation with them, working directly with them. And as you say, providing them with facts and data and the truth and so they can make good decisions. But you know, as a family business owner, it still must be a little bit challenging for them to say, we fully trust this person to do what's right. But you've worked hard to earn that trust, and it works seamlessly at Hastings, absolutely seamlessly.
I really think it does. I Dave's mom passed away in the last month. And it was really touching to me when she would say things to people like, well, we consider Dave family. And that goes a long way on both sides. You know, when you hear things like that, it really makes you act like your family, and every decision you make, is based on what's best for the family and what's best on for the company. If you
Yes,
don't take that approach, a lot of bad things are going to happen. But if you
right.
take that approach, everything will be great.
That's so true, Dave. That's such a great point. And I want to wrap up by talking about your leadership style a little bit. Your leadership style, as I observe it, is really characterized by what you just said. And that is that although you are not a family member, you see yourself as a family member. And quite frankly, I think the Baum family does too, right? In the way you work together. So share with our listeners a little bit about your leadership style. And if you've modified or changed anything along the way.
Well, when Larry came in, Larry, when he became president, he used to tell me he was on an island. He'd never done anything like this before. That was in the early 80s. And his motto that he'd always say was, I was right 51% of the time. So he was willing to make those decisions. Even he just felt like he was on an island. He didn't have a lot of people helping him, and he was making a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
Dave learned a lot from Larry, so that was the next generation. And then when I learned a lot from Dave, I didn't come in and want to just change everything. So he got a great staff underneath him to help him. And we're doing the same thing now. A lot of people are retiring. And so I have the opportunity, and Brian has the opportunity. We're hiring people that we hope will be here for the next 40 years. But as far as leadership style, you have to let those people do their jobs, come to you for answers if they need them. But for the most part, if you hire quality people, you're going to be fine as a company. I do think sometimes you have to know when to hug and when to nudge people forward and give them that confidence so they can make those decisions. I
Yeah.
was fortunate, like I said, I had somebody like Dave that would put me out there to make decisions and then correct me if I was wrong or tell me, hey, great job if I went the right way. Or he would catch me
Right.
before I went too far down the road and keep it in that, I would say, the Hastings way, the Baum way. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's great. That's great advice too for how to be a good leader. Know when to hug and know when to nudge. And I think to your point, it works really well when you hire the right people, right? When you
yes.
make good hires, people whose DNA is all about learning and growing and being a little bit assertive and trying new things and taking calculated risks, right? And are humble enough to accept correction or guidance when they maybe get a little bit off track. If you hire the right people and then lead them in that manner you just described, yeah, I mean, it's a great recipe for success. In wrapping up, Dave, share what do you enjoy the most about your role leading a family business?
I would say the people that I work with, I am so blessed and fortunate to be the president of Hastings Fiberglass. Most people in my role, they're going to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week at times.
True.
Uh, I come in on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning for a couple hours, really for solitude. I just come in, I can just do a few things and just to be here. It's just so nice. I can just do a few things here, there, get ready for the following week. But I would say, so we have 120 employees, which translates to 120 families. And it's really humbling to me to have the responsibility to make sure that they're fed every week in reality. You're taking care of 120 families. So it makes it a lot easier to realize the importance of making the right decision. And to put in
Sure does.
and when needed, you put in the extra time to do it and you lead by that example. So yeah, I think probably the most fun, most things that I look forward to is coming into work every day. And that, like I said, I'm very fortunate to do that. I think my wife doesn't understand completely. On a Sunday, it's like, oh, I can't wait to get to work tomorrow so I can do this. And I don't think I'm very fortunate because most people don't have a job where they can say that.
You are absolutely right. That is so true. They don't. And you've had a job where you can say that for how many years now?
Almost 25 now. So
25
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
It is quite an amazing run you've had there at Hastings. And we're so thrilled to hear too that things are going well in your business and growth is on the horizon, addition coming on. That's super exciting. All kudos to you for being a really, really great leader in the family business, Dave. And we appreciate you sharing your insights with our listeners today too. Let me ask you, Dave, if our listeners have follow-up questions, they want to drop you an email and just get in touch with you and learn a little bit more about you, Hastings, anything we've talked about today, what's your email address that we could share with them so they can reach out to you?
It's D Russell, Russell at hfgp.com.
Okay,
HastingsFiberglassProducts.com.
excellent. Perfect. Well, Dave, again, can't thank you enough for being our guest today on the Welsh Wire, talking about leading as an outside family member, leading in the family business. Your insights have been tremendous, and we really appreciate our conversation today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity.